Are you struggling to create consistent content? Hi, I'm Natalie Alaimo, and I want to share with you my top 5 tips for creating consistent content. Now, this content that you're creating can ideally be used across the board. So it can be used on your social media platforms, it can be used on your website, and of course, on your email marketing newsletters that you're sending out to your audience. So step number 1 is actually to brainstorm. Now, I know this seems like a fairly easy thing to say, but for a lot of people, it is a big struggle. The idea is to really just have some focused time to get all of those ideas out of your head onto a piece of paper. Now, the more you do this, the actually easier it becomes. What I also find helps is that as you are going about your everyday life and as ideas pop into your head, create a running list. So put those things down on paper as they pop into your head. So then when we get to step number 2, which is to actually plan your core content, it becomes a lot easier. So step number 2 is to actually plan your core content. And what you want to aim for is one core topic each week. So to begin with, you can either plan 4 or 5 topics depending on where you are at the month and how much content you want to get done in advance. But if you aim to have one core piece of content each week, I'm going to show you how you can use that across the board on all of your social platforms and your newsletter and email to make the content creation process a lot easier for you. So once you've planned out those content ideas, step number 3 is to actually create the content. Now, this system works really well if you actually create a video or go live on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, however you want to go live, or create a podcast. The reason being is because step number 4 is actually to get that transcribed and to repurpose. Now, you might find that you're more of a writer, and that is perfectly fine. You can use this system as well when creating epic blog posts. But ideally, if you can create a video first, I generally find this is a speedier way to get that content out as opposed to writing. So step number 3, remember, is to actually create the content. Then step number 4 is once you have that content, you're going to get it transcribed and you're going to repurpose it. So from one video or podcast or however you're creating that content, you can actually create a newsletter. You can create a blog. You can create a series of social media content. So that could be pull-out posts, it can be long-form posts, it can be short-form posts, it can be Instagram stories. You can use that one core content idea to repurpose and create, at least a week's worth of content, if not more. And then step number 5 is to actually spend the time to do this. So what I recommend doing is, particularly if you're just starting out, is to block out 4 or 5 hours. Now for you, that might mean that you need to block it out in 30-minute increments. It might be in hour increments. You might be lucky enough to do a 4 or 5 hour stretch. However that is going to work for you, you need to block out the time and you need to start creating the content. And ideally, what you want to do is get ahead of yourself. So you need to create 4 weeks of content and do that regularly so you're always going to be in front of the curve. Now, if you did actually want to go live with your content, like do a live stream on Instagram or Facebook, you can have all of this planned out in advance and then just go live once a week and then do the repurposing part. So I hope that really helps you with a kind of a framework of how you can show up consistently in your business with creating content. Now, if you are struggling with the very first step, which is brainstorming, I'd love for you to check out my course, Conversion Content Cues. Basically, I've put together 100+ content cues that are going to help you get all of that good juiciness out of your head into content that you can create. I've also included a lot of additional information about content strategy and everything you need to get up and running with creating content consistently online. So to check that out, I'll put the link below, but if you just go to nataliealaimo.com/cues. And if you have any questions, please just leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.